Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our live stream. It's Monday night. Celtic are away. Yes, Celtic away. Cue that. We're here to talk about the World Cup. Not so much Celtic this evening. I thought I'd change it up. We're going to have to get used to this in the channel for the next few weeks. Now, I was going to do this in the kind of traditional video format rather than a live stream, but I decided that with uni work today that a live stream was the best way forward. And do you know what? Usually when I do these videos, we talk about, say, the Euros or the World Cup or anything that's not strictly to do with Celtic, the views are never as great, you know, they never attract as many of my normal fans, the revisiting fans, because it's got nothing to do with Celtic. So I've decided for the people who do care, the people who are here watching this stream live, why don't we just do it live? So that we could sit and have a bit of a chat and I can get your guys' opinions and talk about what you think will happen at the 2022 World Cup. So that's why I've made it live. It's nice to see some of you already in the comments. Nice to see you. Let you finish that one off like Brucey would. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're not watching this live, then don't worry. During the World Cup, I have plans that I think during the World Cup we'll do a few live streams here and a couple of live streams here and there. And we'll maybe do ones for the games that Celtic players are playing. For example, Maida, Moy, Vickers. We might do some wee watch-alongs if I'm available and I can be bothered. Then we might do that. But tonight, we're just going to sit down. We're going to predict the World Cup. We're going to give my predictions to who we think will win the World Cup. We're going to look at the Golden Boot as well. Best goalkeeper, clean sheets, etc. But yeah, who are the two frauds in the middle of CCV and Moy in the thumbnail? I don't know. Never heard of any of the two of them. Don't know. Couldn't tell you for the life of me. Anyway, Carlson, how you doing? Lovely to see you. Right, let's get into talking about the World Cup then. Before I bring up, I have got it here that I'll bring it on screen. Don't worry, we're going to go through it together. So if I just share my screen very quickly, this is what you guys will be able to see when we do go to deciding. I'm going to use the FIFA one because I think theirs is just very nice and clean, nice graphic. It goes through pretty well. So we'll bring that up very, very shortly. But let's talk about the 2022 World Cup. Of course, we know there's 4 Celtic players going over there. We've got Aaron Moy for Australia, Dyson Maeda, Japan, Cameron Carter-Vickers for the US of A. And then finally, of course, we've got... Who's the fourth? Slipped my mind. That's why I left it at last. Who's the fourth? Who is the fourth? Who's going? Who have I forgot? Moy, Vickers, Maida. There's one more. Moy's Vickers. Who is it? Chat, remind me. Who else has gone? Who have I forgot? There is 4, isn't there? Who have I forgot? I've actually forgot, and it's really annoying me. Often, Moy, Maida, Vickers, and who? Unanimous! Hey, here we go. That's it. I knew there was one more. I knew there was. Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, Piggy. Everybody's just piling in with it now. Thank you, everybody who's reminding me. I forgot there. Just slipped my head completely. But obviously, 4 Celts heading over, so we'll watch them with great interest, of course. But in general, I'm excited for the World Cup. By the way, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much to Neil Morrison who's donated $8.99. He says, what chance of a spoony chop? What is a spoony chop? Is it safe to Google this? Spoony chop. Am I going to be disgusted on stream here? We'll maybe talk about the World Cup, but I've got to... The Spoony chop is back, says St Johnson boss. The Spoony chop was still there. St Johnson boss Callum Davison. It gives... Spoony chop could be seen... Is that what they're calling Wotherspoon? Really? Is that it? Is that what they're calling Wotherspoon? Anyway, thank you very much for the donations. Much appreciated. Right, the World Cup, I'm really excited for it, I must admit. By the way, a £10 donation as well from Ian. Hi Ryan, I just hope England don't win. Well, we all hope England don't win, don't we? I think so. Thank you, Ian, it is much appreciated. Legend is always here for these streams. Much appreciated, thank you so much. England, yeah, we'll talk about each team as we go through it, but I'm excited. I know Qatar has obviously raised a lot of questions, people not so happy that the competition is there, and I for one, I'm not exactly happy that Qatar is the host nation, and we're seeing a kind of unprecedented World Cup in the sense that when have you ever seen managers of nations going into a World Cup with days of preparation? Usually they have 4 weeks of preparation. That isn't the case this time round. We're going in, the last domestic game was played yesterday, and I think that was it for most top divisions, so players should be arriving in Qatar over the course of today and tomorrow. And then the first game's on Sunday afternoon. So you're talking about a very quick turnaround for this World Cup in terms of preparation. But nonetheless, it is a World Cup. I am excited. and I'm hoping that we see some entertainment. I'm hoping that the Celtic players impress us, because Cal's asked the question here, out of the four, who do you think will get the most attention? I think Juranovic, because I think Croatia will probably go the furthest out the four, and because he's already gone into this competition with, I think, the expectation of him being watched. You know what I mean? I think a lot of Celtic fans that I've spoken to are expecting Juranovic to maybe move on sometime soon, so I think that he will maybe be watched the most anyway. We'll take some questions at the end. Let's get predictions and we'll talk about each team. Let's get into my predictions for this World Cup. I don't know. How did we do last? Do you know what? I want to bring up something on my screen. I am going to go. This is funny. And it's a live stream, so we get to just have a laugh and take our time. Ryan118 World Cup predictions. Let's see how we done in 2018, because I remember doing that on my channel, right? And I think I predicted Germany to win it. And obviously I was very wrong because Germany were knocked out in the group stages. So, you know, biased as I was for the... You know me, I love the Germans. Who you might be asking, who am I supporting at this World Cup? I will be supporting Germany. I always support Germany when it comes to international tournaments. So, this is what I said. And pardon the nick of me for this 2018 World Cup, because I was in absolute state. But this was my predictions for the semi-finals. I had Portugal, France... Sorry, this was a quarterfinals. Portugal, France, Brazil, Belgium, Spain, Argentina, and Germany, Poland. Which then went down to France and Brazil, Spain and Germany. I don't think any of these teams made the semi-finals. The semi-finals, if you remember, was England, Croatia, France, Belgium. So I didn't get one... Not France, Belgium, sorry. France, Belgium. I got one right. And then I had the final, France and Germany, and I said Germany. Yep, I said Germany. They were out in the groups. They were out in the fucking groups. So let's hope we could do a bit better this time round. I think Germany will do better this time round. I know, who is that? Look, nothing like that now. I've grown, thankfully. Put on a bit of weight though. It's not nice. Need to lose that. Let's go to the World Cup predictions then, and feel free to join in and let me know what you think throughout this stream. Let me know who you think will win each group. Let me know. I'll try and get as many involved as possible. So let's go to Group A, which sees a group of Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. Now, for me, there's a standout here. There's one that makes the most sense, and that is the Netherlands. Now, I don't want to sleep on who I think. I'm just going to go through this group quite quickly. I'm not going to sleep on Senegal, and I think that they have a very good chance of even winning this group because they've got a very talented side. Now, the fitness of Sadio Mane is still very much up in the air. It was a kind of last-minute call whether or not he would even make the tournament after sustaining an injury with Bayern Munich. He is going with the Senegal squad. How involved will he be with the Senegal squad? I am going for Holland in first because this is it for Louis van Gaal. This is the last big hurrah. One of the greatest managers in football history. He, of course, finished third place with Holland back in 2014. Had a very good side at that World Cup, of course, the likes of Robin van Persie, Arjen Robben. It was a very good team. But arguably, in terms of depth, I think he has a better team this time round. I know that they've maybe not suggested that over the past few years. They haven't been anything special. But the centre-backs, for example, I remember the 2014 World Cup, Holland were starting Ron Vlaar. Ron Vlaar was starting at centre-half, and he made it to the semi-finals. This time round, he's got Virgil van Dijk starting at centre-half. He's got, Luke de Jong in the middle of the park. He's got Memphis Depay. He's got a great squad to use here. I'm not exactly sure the 26 exact names he's taken, but Jeremy Frimpong, I'm seeing his name brought up by Luke there. They have got a very good team, and I actually think they could go quite far. Louis van Gaal, he's done it in this tournament before, taking them far. He was very unlucky, in fact. Remember, they lost in penalties in the semi-final in 2014. And he's got to retire after this competition as well. So I'd expect him to go out on a high. Senegal, very good squad. I'm not going to pretend I've seen a lot about them, but they're certainly a more equipped side than Ecuador and Qatar. So that's why I'm going for them in second place. But I think this could be a big, big tournament for Holland. So I'm going to go for that. Let me know what you all think. I'm seeing a lot of Hollands in first. I'm seeing Netherlands winner, runner-up Senegal, says Luke. Seeing that, obviously, Jeremy Frimpong top scorer tournament. Frimpong and Dumfries on the right side of the back line. Of course, Holland never went to the last World Cup. Very good point from Cal. Didn't even make it. But I think Holland were in a really bad situation in terms of they couldn't pin down a coach after Louis van Gaal. And they'd never found one. I think they brought in Ronald Koeman. He was in charge for a while. I remember Danny Blint being in charge for a bit, the father of Daley Blint, of course. I remember Gus Hiddink being in charge as well. They've not really pinned somebody down, and it's all kind of came back full circle, and now they're back with Louis van Gaal, who's probably the best option that they can find. I love Louis van Gaal, but that's my predictions for Group A. Let's don't be here all night, so we want to get to talk about the semi-finals and the finals in a lot more depth. So let's get Group B, which says England, Iran, US of A, and Wales. Who is going to win this group? That is the question. People will hear me talk about England, won't they? They want me to hear. I'm not sleeping on Ecuador, to be fair, Plaque Ensemble. I'm not sleeping on Ecuador because they do have some good players. You've named a couple there. But Group B, England are rotten at the moment. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Gareth Southgate and this England squad don't know what they're doing when it comes to tournament football. I think we can have, if you don't want to admit it, that's fair, but you're lying to yourself if you don't. What Gareth Southgate has showed since he's became England manager in the course of the two major tournaments is he knows how to win tournament games. And he does that by setting up teams in a manner that knows how to stop goals going in. They have been rotten the last couple of years. Since the final of the Euros, they've been stinking. They've been really, really bad. And they don't have a great chance, I think, of winning this tournament because of that. Also, I still think they need a lot in terms of their squad department. But he knows how to win tournament games. And there's been a lot of discussion whether or not he's going to go into this tournament playing a 4 at the back, playing a 5 at the back. Me, personally, I think they need to play a 5 at the back. Maybe not against Iran, for example, but, he knows how to win tournament games, and that's what's going to see England get out of this group in top spot. They will top the group. I'm more than confident of that. I know that they've been really, really poor, and I don't want to see England do well. Of course not. I'll be rooting for Iran, I'll be rooting for America, I'll be rooting for Wales as well. However, I just think that they've got a squad that will do their job. They'll score goals when they need to score them, and they might not do it in a pretty fashion, but they'll probably just win. They'll probably manage to do it. And then we've got second place, which I think is up for a bit of discussion between the US of A and Wales. Plaque Ensemble is not a fan of Craig Berhalter. Worst manager at this tournament, dark times ahead for the US, methinks. I seen they were using the Ted Lasso quotes to motivate the Americans. I personally think it's going to be Wales. I do. I still, and once again, I don't think Wales have been anything spectacular recently, but, obviously not quite hit the heights of the Euros in 2016. But I just think there's something about them. There's a spirit about Wales that I don't know. I just see them. I can see them maybe getting a point against England, for example. They've got players like Bale who can step up on big occasions. I don't know what it is about him, but I really like Kiefer Moore. I think he's a good player. It's not a strong side. You've got the likes of Aaron Ramsey still cutting about if he's on the plane. I'm not entirely sure if he is. But there's just something about Wales that I think will get them in second place. Now, the one thing we've not spoken about is Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's obviously part of the USA squad. I hope he does well. And I would like to see the USA go through in second place because of CCV. And you know what? There's something cheesy about the American national side that I actually quite like. That it feels weird to say, but there's something quite cheesy about them that I quite like. I've always kind of liked rooting for America a bit when they go to these World Cups. I don't know why. I don't care really, but I don't know. But I do think it'll be Wales. I'm trying not to be biased to the European teams, and I'm seeing a lot of people. I think a lot of people seem to be America in here. We've got Alistair who's saying USA, Mackenzie saying USA, Luke says USA first. USA have a great team. They've certainly got really good players in there. Cal raising the point. They've got Dest, McKennie, Sargent Reina, CCV. It is a strong side. But I just feel like Wales are well drilled. And there's just something about them at the tournaments that I really underestimated Wales going into Euro 2020. And they actually played quite well. So I'm going to go England and Wales for my Group B options. Group C. There's a standout winner here, and it's Argentina, isn't it? I think everybody can agree that Argentina is going to top this group. If you don't think Argentina is going to top this group, let me know why. Of course, the World Cup is no stranger to shocks, and it is no, not you can't really predict what's going to happen at a World Cup. There's been so many. Germany, who are of course the reigning champions, heading into 2018, went out in the groups. The reigning champions going into 2014 were Spain. They went out in the groups. The reigning champions in 2010, Italy, went out in the groups. That's the kind of things that happen at World Cups, and there's no guarantee that Argentina will top this group, but if you're just going off logic, they've got to. They are arguably favourites for this competition, and as we'll get further, we'll see how far I put them in the competition. This is the last dance for Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. One of those two players surely have to lift this trophy in this competition. That is my thinking. I think everybody's kind of thinking like that, but I think that Argentina need to do this. Now, I'm seeing a comment about Argentina might collapse under the pressure of everyone's high expectations. A very good point. But they've played so well. Of course, they finally won that international tournament with Messi. They won a Copa America back in 2020 as well. Or 2021, sorry, as well. And Messi got to kind of break that hoodoo of Willie getting an international trophy. They have also, I think their record is, if they're not like, they're undefeated in something like 33 games. It is a ridiculous statistic. And when I look around this Argentina team, I had a lot of friends arguing to me that Argentina's squad isn't that great at the moment. I want to hear it. It's a fantastic squad. From back to front, they've got a really solid, great keeper in Emiliano Martinez. They've got defenders like Lisandro Martinez. They've got midfielders who can do damage. They've got Messi, of course. This is a strong Argentina side. And it's a side that I think that, once again, I'll use the phrase that I used for kind of what I said about Wales. They're well drilled. I'm not comparing Wales and Argentina, by the way, but they're well drilled. I think they play well with each other, and I feel like they're a team of hard workers. Whereas a lot of people talk about, and we'll come on to Brazil, but a lot of people are putting Brazil in as the favourites for this competition, and that's their pick to win it. But if I had to pick between the two, if I had to pick Argentina or Brazil, I'm picking Argentina every day of the week, because I think Brazil has got more egos, more individuals, and I'm not too sure if they'll come together as a cohesive unit. Whereas Argentina, I think they will. So that is why I am going for Argentina to top the group, and I have such high expectations for them. Will they crumble under the pressure? I don't know. Second place either goes to Mexico or Poland. And I'm going to go Mexico. Robert Lewandowski, yet to kind of perform on an international stage for me, in the group stage. I don't remember a tournament where I've been blown away by Lewandowski. I think that Lewandowski is the best striker in the world. I think he's incredible. He's been banging them in for Barcelona as well. He is a fantastic player. But Poland, I'm reversing the juju here. Because every single international tournament that we go into, I always keep saying that Poland are dark horses, they're going to do well, and then they don't. And I'm fed up of saying it. I don't know what it is, but they just, like Piggy Smalls here puts it perfectly. I just think that, they're going to do that again. So I'm going Mexico. I don't know too much about the Mexico national side. Certainly better than Saudi Arabia, you'd expect. Good footballing nation, provided us some fantastic players and performances over the past. And I remember in 2014, Guillermo Ochoa just being unbelievable. Will he repeat that again with his 6 fingers? Who knows? But I am going for Mexico to go second. Thank you for the donation, TJ. Much appreciated. They say CCV is going to have Kane in his pocket. Absolutely. It'll prove why Tottenham should have... glad they didn't, but I think it'll prove why Tottenham should have maybe considered keeping him around. For your predictions, we've got Mexico from Caden. We've got Poland from Lewis. Checo Perez comes second in something. Let's see. Mexico have really nice kits as well. Also, Mexico have got that goalkeeper who's unreal yet, Guillermo Ochoa, as we spoke about. Mexico are usually great to watch. And then we've got Plaga de Sombo saying, I can see the Saudis maybe causing an upset like Costa Rica in 2014, but don't expect Mexico not to turn up. Chucky Lozano, of course, a fantastic player as well, who's been somebody for a number of years now, has been under the eyes of many. I think, was it at the last World Cup? He was really good as well. Anyway, Argentina and Mexico, we're going for that Southern American, not Southern American, that's like Texas, South American flavour there. I'm going to go for those two. Group D. I'm going to be controversial. This is my first out there claim. My first out there one. Denmark to win the group. Yep, I wholeheartedly believe that Denmark will win this group. I'm going to be... Oh, sugar. The wrong thing. I'm going to be real and saying that France will finish second. And I want Australia to go through, and I want Australia to do well for our Ange and our Aaron. But realistically, it's going to be 2. Some people saying it's not controversial. Black Ensemble saying that Denmark don't even make it out the group. France are in a real difficult position right now because I feel they're missing a lot of big players. I think there was a big call today. Kimpembe's not going to the World Cup, which I thought was bizarre. I thought Kimpembe would have been on the first team. You know, I thought he'd have been in the start 11. He's not. He's not going. Denmark looks strong. Denmark, Australia hearing from some. France missing so many players. Cal saying Denmark top. And then obviously the World Cup curse. I don't think France will be as disappointing as what a lot of people are already making it out to be, but I do see Denmark top in this group. I remember watching Denmark at the 2020 Euros, and they were just unbelievable. Once again, such a spirit about them, such a well-drilled unit. Obviously, the big thing was Christian Eriksen with the unfortunate collapse of that tournament, and it didn't look like it fazed them. Obviously it did. It was psychologically huge, but they battled through that, and they got to the quarter semi-finals of the competition. Unbelievable stuff from Denmark in there, and I just think, and I look round the Denmark. I'm going to get up the Denmark squad selection right now. I want to see it. Denmark World Cup selection. See, the thing is with Denmark, they don't have, they don't have a huge. They don't have like star players. They don't have players you go, oh, like he's world class. But what they do have is a full squad of players who are solid players, good players, and they work well together. Schmeichel in goals. He's been a fantastic keeper for a number of years. Kjær at the back. Anderson at the back. Christensen, who, you could say isn't the greatest, but still a good player, who plays obviously now for Barcelona. In midfield, players like Delaney, Eriksen, Højbjerg, Norgard, Skov Olsen. They've got Lindstrom up front. They've got players that, they've got such good players, I think, throughout the entirety of that team that just makes them such a well-drilled unit. And I just think they'll top that group. I really do. I think that Denmark will top it. Denmark equals Brentford FC. Well, Thomas Frank does know what he's doing. He does know when he's trusting his home nation. France have got an unfair advantage, pulling in players from Algeria, Ghana, and all over the place. Well, it's up to the players. If they choose to select to play for these nations, then they can't really do much. It happens all over the place. I just think that Denmark have got such a pool of great talent there, and I just think they'll do so well in this tournament. I really think they could go far. I do. I honestly believe that. I think they're such a kind of slept-on nation. And I hope Christian Eriksen has a big tournament because he's been tearing it up for Manchester United. He obviously scored at the weekend against Fulham, and I really like him. I would love to see Australia get through this group, and if they can, brilliant. Did you see Jackson Alvin today, by the way? The drip was just spectacular, for goodness sake, man. But I don't think they'll do it against two big European nations with such as Denmark and France. And I mean, when you've got Jason Cummins on your side, there's only so far you can go, I suppose. Right, Group E. I've been taking so long in these groups, which is a big group, I would say. It's one of the most interesting groups. Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica. Obviously, Japan's a nation that us Celtic fans will be keeping an eye on throughout the competition. Now that we've brought over so many Japanese players. Only one going over, and that's Dyson Maeda. Best of luck to him. Hope he does well. I think that if they had Kyogo and Hatate in there, I would have been predicting them to get through this group. But I'm just going to be real, and I think this one picks itself. It's surely got to be Germany and Spain. And we can say as much as we like about Japan, as much as we want them to do well. But Germany and Spain are just two really good nations. They're really good nations. Germany, I am obviously going into this tournament supporting. I'm waiting for my Germany top to come, actually. I better hurry up and arrive. But Germany under Hansi Flick, it's the first tournament without Joachim Löw in how many years is that now? So since the World Cup 2006, when I think Jürgen Klinsmann might have been in charge. Joachim Löw has been in charge for Euro 2008, World Cup 2010, Euro 2012, World Cup 2014, 16. He's been in charge for so many tournaments. This is huge for Germany. It's the first time they've went in without Joachim Löw. And Hansi Flick, who won the 6-2 with Bayern Munich, 6 trophies in 1 year, is now testing himself on the international stage for the first time, really. This is a very interesting Germany side. Such a mix of experience and youth. coming together in one team. You look through the Germany team, especially in the defence, there's a lot of first-time names there. You know, just off the top of my head, thinking of players like Nico Schlotterbeck and Gunther and players like that. There is a lot of guys that you've probably not seen around the Germany squad all that often. Raum as well from Leipzig is another defender who's on the list for one of the first times I can remember. And then you've got players like Musiala as well when you move up the park. There's such an experience there, but there's such youth. You've got like Thomas Müller who'll be out there for the last time, you'd imagine. You'd think this is maybe his last World Cup. You've also got other experienced players in and around the squad, but they've dropped a lot of the bit. And the problem was, Joachim Low had his favourites. Joachim Low had players he just didn't drop. Mats Hummels, when he wasn't on form, he was still starting games for Germany. And it was the same with a lot of older guys. You know, Jerome Boateng was part of that team for such a long time. There's just guys that shouldn't have been there. And now I think that, I think that by bringing in this mix of players, I think it could be really exciting for Germany. Keep your eye out on Musiala. I think he could be one of the standouts of the tournament. The one thing that concerns me about Germany is actually a striker, you know, and it's like I don't think they have a goal-scoring striker who convinces me enough at World Cup level. You know, we've got players like Niklas Füllkrug, who has been brilliant for Werder Bremen. He's been really, really good, but, you know, Timo Werner's not in the plane. He's not going. Even at that, is he a world-class goal-scorer? No, but in the past, I've had Mario Gomez, I've had Miroslav Klose. I just don't feel like they have that this time round. And that's where it worries me a little bit. Will they have to rely on players like Thomas Müller, who's been around for every World Cup since 1958 here? Will they have to rely on him to score the goals? Players like that? Maybe so. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. And Moukoko here, this could be big for Moukoko. You're talking about where goals come from. The young man, he's there. Adeyemi, also there. This is the chance to, you know, in wrestling we have the phrase, or they have the phrase, don't know, I'm saying we, I'm not a wrestler. They have the phrase, the brass ring. This is the opportunity for a guy like Adeyemi, or a guy like Moukoko, or even Musiala, to stand up and grab that brass ring and be a nail-on player for Germany for the foreseeable future. There is a spot there to be taken, I think, if you can become the goal scorer for Germany. Because there's just no one there to fill that void. So huge. In Spain, I really like the Spain squad. A lot of people will have a lot to say about it. I think there's a really mixed reaction to Spain's side. But for as different as it is, and for it not being as strong as what they were in the early 2010s and the late 2000s, I still like it. Once again, good mix of youth and experience. Sergio Ramos, of course, not going. But, you know, the fact is, you've got players like Busquets who have been there for such a long time, who are able to kind of keep the younger guys in check. And you've got players coming through who are going to be huge for this country in the future. So, yeah, somebody's saying that Havertz will have a good tournament. He's rotten for Chelsea, seems to top for Germany. It's always, the thing is for me, Havertz is just someone I find hard to be won over by. I liked him when he was at Bayer Leverkusen, but since then, no more Hitchens, no support from me. Spain with two left-sided centre-halves. Well, Celtic done it with two right-sided centre-halves, so... You know, Spain teams went so downhill. Well, give it another 10 years. You know, we'll see what they're saying. I hope that Spain and Germany's game is an utter classic. Cal saying Pedri going to show how good he is, backing Javi to have a good tournament as well. So that's what I'm going for Group E. Group F, let's get on to there. We've got Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. The Croats, the finalists of the 2018 World Cup. This time round, are they as strong? Probably not. Probably not, but I still fancy them to do quite well in this competition. And for me, that's why this group just... I'm not wanting to sleep on any nation, because I think in the World Cup, it is so typical for a country like Morocco or Canada to come out and cause upsets. It's tournament football. All that matters is that 90 minutes. Doesn't matter about form, doesn't matter about the league. There's no league. But... I think that realistically speaking, Belgium should be finishing first and Croatia should be finishing second. If you're just playing it off logic, and I like the look of Canada, I think they've got a few good players in there, but when you're just looking at the two, if you're looking at the sides of that group and put them side by side, it just makes sense to put through Belgium and Croatia. Now, I'm seeing a bit of talk about who finishes where in this group. A lot of people look as though they're fancying Croatia to top it. Caden, Helen, we've got Luke as well. I think a lot of people here look as though they're fancying Croatia to top this group. And to be honest with you, Cassius Clay saying Canada second. Wow. And to be honest with you, until a couple of days ago, I thought Croatia would top this group. But then I sat down and I just looked at the Belgium side and I thought, when you've got De Bruyne in there, him alone should be enough to get you through on top of a group. Plus, Roberto Martinez, say what you like, he still is a quality manager. Roberto Martinez, he still is. Now, will this be his last chance? This is the last chance for Belgium with the golden generation of talent. This is it. This is really the last chance for them to do anything significant, I would say. I know we've got Euros coming about in 2 years, and a lot of those guys will still be playing. De Bruyne, Hazard. I don't imagine they're going to chuck it, but I just feel like this is the last big hurrah for a lot of that group of players who have came through at the same sort of time. A lot of guys obviously gone now, the likes of Vertonghen, who was part of that team for a long time, he's away. But, for Courtois, De Bruyne, who else were we talking about? Hazard, and just a lot of those big names. I feel like it's going to be the last chance. They finished third in 2018. Can they advance on that? Who knows? Maybe. If Barisic is playing in Croatia, might just finish bottom due to his backwards passing. Now, a lot of people will be watching Barisic with a keen eye, I'd imagine. Trossard's a player to watch out for. Been playing amazing. Absolutely, I agree with that. Trossard from Brighton will have a great World Cup, says Luke. Yeah, they've got some dangerous players in there. The defence is probably where I worry for them the most as well. I don't think their defence is as recognisably good as what it was in 2018, for example. So I think that's where they might slip up a little bit. But yeah, Temblin's playing for the Arsenal move. Perhaps. Right, okay. Let's get into the last couple of groups. Wow, we've spent a lot. Is that a spot coming out there? It is. Oh, you dirty bastard. Right, Group G. Let's get on to Brazil, Serbia. There's no conversation who wins that group. It's Brazil. Brazil wins the group, surely. Now, I spoke very briefly on Brazil when we spoke about Argentina. And Brazil, of course, I think Brazil are bookies' favourites. I think that Brazil are probably a lot of your guys' pick maybe for this competition as well. I don't buy into the same Brazil hype as what many do. They're going to win the World Cup now that I've said that, aren't they? But I don't buy into it as much just because I still look at it as a team of players who are all individually really good. But when I start to think of them working together, I don't know. I don't think that they're a side who could beat a well-drilled side. An Argentina who look well-drilled to me. Dare I say it, a Germany who are well-drilled to me. I don't know. I'm not sleeping on... Do you know what? They'll probably be able to get towards the final, and they might get to the final. I don't know. Neymar, big stage for him. He wants this. He wants this badly. Can he do it? We'll have to wait and see. Now, who's going to finish second? This, I think, is the most difficult group to decide who finishes second. Cameroon, Switzerland, and Serbia. I don't think there's an awful lot that separates those three sides, to be quite honest with you. Of course, we've seen Scotland play Serbia in recent times. Scotland beat Serbia. So I'm like, well, if Scotland can beat them, surely Switzerland and Cameroon can beat them. But Switzerland are a team who, they're okay. I don't think they're anything special. And Cameroon, I just ultimately don't know enough about Cameroon, apart from the fact that Olivier Ncham's there. But I looked for the Cameroon squad the other day, and it's not a squad that strikes me that they're going to finish in second place. So do you know what? Second place is a coin flip. How do you do do you know what I'm going to do? I am going to let fate decide this one, because I can't pick a second. I cannot pick a second. I'm going to let fate decide this. Number roll. We're going to do a number roll. We're going to do a dice roll, right? And we're going to put roll a die. Yes, please, thank you. And we're going to put Serbia as 1, Switzerland as 2, and Cameroon as 3. And whatever wins, we are going to go for. And the winner is number 3, which means we are putting through our first African side. No, we put through Senegal. Cameroon is joining. There you go. I'm looking through what's everybody thinking. This is the one that I just can't decide on my own. I think it could be very tight. Brazil all day, every day. The squad depth is incredible, similar to France in 2018. So I agree with that, Ian. I do agree that their squad depth is incredible. I don't know. I just think teams are going to play better. Like as an 11 player. My money's in Cameroon for second. Mitrovic will score a good. That's the big thing. Mitrovic, of course. Serbia have a few. See, Serbia is probably who I was leaning towards the most. And Champion played at Celtic. Cameroon. Seen somebody saying Switzerland, Serbia have a better squad. Well, I have let fate decide, and Cameroon are joining Brazil, going through Group G. And then finally, the last group, which sees Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea. For me, it's pretty straightforward. It's those two that go through for me. I think Uruguay have a good chance at maybe going quite far in this tournament, to be honest. I think they've got a good squad. The one thing is, obviously, up front, they've got Suarez and Nunez, which is a recipe for chaos, to say the least. I think that also, who else is it they're calling up? Somebody quite old. Diego Godin, I'm sure he's been picked as well, but there's another forward that's not. Don't say Diego Forlan. Who else is it? Oh, Cavani. That's it, Cavani. They've got a lot of old guys in the squad, Uruguay. But I'm going to go Portugal top of the group. Of course, they're one of the teams that are one of the favourites. Ronaldo, similar to Messi in the sense that this will be his last chance. Very briefly, talking about Ronaldo, I guess we've got to address the situation that has just kind of blew up in the past 24 hours with Cristiano Ronaldo. He is now going to this World Cup with so much attention on him. And I don't know if that's the way he wanted it, but he has so much attention heading into this World Cup for that interview that has blown up with, I hate saying his name on this channel, but Piers Morgan last night. Absolutely shambolic stuff. As someone who obviously likes Manchester United, I think it's embarrassing. I think he should hang his head in shame. And I hope he doesn't play another game for Manchester United ever again. But on the flip side of that, he has now attracted a hell of a lot of attention going into this World Cup. A lot of eyes are going to be on him. And I think he is going to be out there to try and prove to Erik ten Hag that he is still Cristiano Ronaldo, who should be starting every single game for Manchester United. And will he crumble under that? I hope fucking so. But I don't think he will. I think Ronaldo could have a big tournament. Now, I do agree with Lewis. I think Ronaldo's a knob. He's a huge knob for everything that he's said over the past 24 hours. Disrespectful, not helpful in the slightest. It's created more of a mess than anything. But I think that he will seriously go out there and try and perform to the highest standard or highest caliber that he can. I think, people are asking me, do I think he's tarnished his legacy in the whole, not just to Man United? Well, his Man United legacy is down the pan because he's not only been out and disrespected the manager. He could have left it at calling out members of the board and he would have went down a hero. But he's called out the likes of Wayne Rooney, who is a far bigger legend in the club's history than Cristiano Ronaldo is. Simply put, you're looking at the club's top ever scorer, won so many honours, and he's calling out Rooney. When Rooney was bringing up a very valid point about him, he's called out the manager, disrespected him and undermined him. And everything else that looks as though it's going to come from this interview, it just looks that it's not helpful in the slightest. So he's causing right mess. He thinks he's bigger than the club. I hope he goes, but it brings eyes on him for this tournament. It really does. And then Uruguay, I'm going for second. Now, I've got Ghana in the sweepstakes. Yes, Ghana. My father got Mexico, so we've not really done well. But I've seen somebody bring up a comment about Ghana and how maybe not to sleep on them. And do you know what? It's a very good point from Caden. They're underdogs. They've got players like Lamptey, Williams, Partey, Salisu. They have got a strong side. They are nobody to sleep on. They could honestly go through this group. They could do it. I mean, there you go. United fans talking about losing respect. I've lost every ounce of respect I had for them after it. Especially because, and I don't want to turn this into a live stream talk about Manchester United, but just very quickly, United are going in a very positive trajectory right now. They're going in a direction which is the most progressive they have been since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson. And then for Ronaldo to come out and then sort of reverse all of that in a stupid interview with Piers Morgan for Talk TV and The Sun, I think is absolutely embarrassing. I think he should hang his head in shame, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, that is my groups. Christ, I've spent 40 bloody minutes talking about groups. Brilliant. See people asking who my dark horses are. And mine is Denmark. If you consider them a dark horse, Denmark is the ones that I'm going for. Right, we're going to get on to the next part, which is the round of 16. So bear with me just a moment. So let me know your opinions. Let me know anything you don't disagree with before we move on. Anybody think that anything that you don't agree with, anything you're like, Ryan, you're off, you're not. Whatever changed for you that you don't necessarily agree with. Yeah, okie doke. Right. hopefully before I hit, so Portugal will be the biggest underperformers of Ronaldo's ego will tank, blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. Right, let's just go on to the last 16. If you've got anything that is drastically needed to be known by me. USA over Wales, people saying. Right, okay, let's go through the next round, which means my last 16s look like this. And the good thing is, I've spoke about all the teams in great depth, so I can kind of fly through this for the remainder of the stream. I don't want this to last any longer than an hour, for example. Right, okay, last 16 then leaves me with Holland-Wales as the first game. I'm going Holland. I'm going Holland. I've got to go Holland. This is a huge game here. Argentina and France. That is massive. And obviously a lot of people have already voiced concern in the chat about how France might not be as good at this tournament. And once again, I think Argentina are just very strong at the minute. I think Messi will carry them through a game like this. Now, obviously, you can think back to France playing Argentina at the 2018 World Cup. France got the upper hand. I think that was the game Benjamin Pavard scored one of the goals of the tournament, if not the goal of the tournament. But I'm going Argentina this time round. I think Argentina would beat France in the last 16, but that would be a very, very tasty last 16 tie, to say the least. England and Senegal. Once again, just to reiterate my point, in case you weren't here earlier, I think Southgate knows how to win tournament football, and I think Senegal would prove a very, very tough game, but there's certainly tougher games that England could get, and I'm going to go for England. Let me know who you're all picking for game by this as well. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Argentina for the last game. That's good. But I'm going England against Senegal. I mean, people are going to be killing me right now because I'm sending England through to the quarterfinals. But I'm just sitting down. I'm trying to be realistic. The thing is, this is maybe the last dance as well for Gareth Southgate, because if he doesn't get it right at this tournament, I think his job will suddenly vanish. And I know he's done so well for England, and I don't think the FA will be quick to forget that, but he's under immense pressure to get something right at this tournament because of how poor they've been the last couple of years. Denmark, Mexico. As I said, I have good feelings for Denmark in this tournament. I have really good feelings for Denmark in this tournament, and I'm sending Denmark through to the quarterfinals. Germany, Croatia. God, it's all the top options so far. I think these are all the sides who are finished top of the groups. To be fair, so it would make sense. I'm going Germany. I'm going Germany to win against Croatia. I think Croatia would be a tough game. And it would be testing for Hansi Flick's boys. But I'm going to send Germany through. Brazil, Uruguay. This is kind of reversing what I said, because I think Uruguay will be a well-drilled side. I think they'll do well. I think they'll be a very good unit of a team, whereas I said I don't think Brazil will be that. But Brazil should have enough to get over the line against the likes of Uruguay. They should. I think Brazil will breeze through this tournament until it's time to play an Argentina, before it's time to play a Portugal. I don't have a big team like that. You know what? I think that's when the problems might start to come in for Brazil, when I think they might fall. So I'm going there. Same people giving their stuff in as well. Somebody's put all their games in. Belgium and Spain. I'm going Spain. I am. I'm going Spain. It's the first one that I've picked that isn't a group winner. Why do I think that Spain would beat Belgium? I think it's just a gut feeling more than anything. There's nothing there that suggests that Spain would have a massive advantage over Belgium. But I just think that they've got a good group of players who'll be hungry to do well on this stage. And I think they could catch Belgium sleeping. I do. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Spain in here as well. I'm seeing Robbie, Caden, Lewis. I see more Spains than I see Belgiums, to be honest. I think Spain have got a good few players who want to kind of show for future what they're all about. And then finally, Portugal and Cameroon. I mean, you've just got to be realistic and saying Portugal to win that, haven't you? I think that's just, that's being honest, that's being real. So I'm going to go Portugal to beat Cameroon in the quarterfinals. So that's who I'm sending through to the semi-final, the quarterfinals of the competition from the last 16. So let's get on to the quarterfinals then, which presents 4 incredibly tasty games and makes up the quarterfinals. I think this would be a glamorous set of games to take us into the closing stages of the competition. Now, at this stage, as you can see with my 8 teams remaining, I don't think there's anybody who's a shock to be there. I wouldn't even consider Denmark a shock at this point. I think Denmark are just a really good side. So that's the 8 that I'm left with. But I'll go in reverse order this time. We'll start with quarterfinal 4, Spain and Portugal. I think I said a lot of good things about Spain, but I think Portugal would beat them. And I'm honestly, I think it would be typical of Ronaldo to come through and have the tournament of his life in this World Cup due to everything that's kicked off over the past 24 hours. So I'm going to put Portugal through to the next round, to the semi-finals of the competition. England and Denmark. Now, does the biased side of me shine through here? Does that overcome me? And does I put Denmark over England? Yes, I does. Yes, I do. I'm putting Denmark through over England. That's where I feel like this Gareth Southgate England side would finally meet its match and struggle against somebody to find a win, because this is where I think that England's shortcomings now come. I think that Denmark, obviously they met at the Euros, England got the upper hand, it was a very close game, but I just think that Denmark, after that, and just with how the last couple of years have went, would just have such an organised side and be able to take the piss out of an England side, which I think lacks a lot of organisation at this minute in terms of if they go behind, which every game leading up to this point, I don't think England go behind. I really don't. I think England probably take the lead in all those games. But if they went behind to Denmark, in which I think they would, I think the panic stations would hit. I think that's where they crumble. And you look at that, remember that Hungary game when they lost, what was it, 4-0 to Hungary? That's the sort of thing I could see Denmark doing to England in this. I've seen somebody call it the Matt O'Reilly derby. I like that, Lubo. I like that. So I'm going Denmark. There's my logic behind it. I think they'd beat them. Germany and Brazil. Do I be biased once more to the side I'm supporting the Mannschaft? Do I think they could beat Brazil? It's just, I don't know if they're quite there yet. I know I've not been saying many great things about Brazil throughout this live stream, and I don't want to suddenly contradict everything that I've said, but do I think that Germany and Hansi Flick's side are ready enough to beat that Brazil side? I don't know. I think I'm going Brazil. I know. I've basically said that Brazil, I think they won't be as good, and Germany I'm looking forward to seeing, but my expectation for Germany at this tournament kind of starts and ends at I'm looking forward to watching them, and I think it's a good kind of first step in the Hansi Flick era, hopefully. And I hope they do go past the quarterfinals, but if they meet up with Brazil, I just think that Brazil will edge them just because of the talent they have got in that team. Someone said just a step too far for Germany. That's the kind of vibe I get with them at this moment of times as well. How many times will Neymar die? Probably a lot. But I'm just going to be honest and go for Brazil to make the last four of the competition. And then finally, Holland and Argentina. What a game that would be. What a game. A repeat, of course, of the 2014 semi-finals. Argentina won in penalties. Louis van Gaal would be desperate for his revenge. But I just think Argentina would edge that. I really do. I think Argentina will probably just edge that. I think they'll blow them away by any means, for as good as I think Argentina will be in this competition. But I think they'll just edge it. And that's what makes up my semi-finals, which brings us to the semi-finals, which, if you can already see, there's a clear path. That's a good point from Josh, I think, as well. Evening, Chris. Nice to see you. A fair point from Josh over here, by the way, that Germany's defence will get eaten alive by a Neymar playing at his very best. I think that could be, I just look at the side and I'm like, Elliot, yes, I agree. Right, semi-finals, and someone brought up the point in the last one that maybe Brazil was a step too far for Germany, and I think Portugal would be a step too far for Denmark. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go for Portugal over Denmark. And then Argentina, Brazil. That would be crazy, first of all. It's a shame that it's in Qatar, because I don't know how many people... Someone saying the Jota and Bernabeu final. I love that, Cal. Argentina, Brazil. In any other country, I think would just... So many people would... I don't know how many Argentinians or Brazilians will be able to actually make it over. I know they're paying, like, Qatari citizens to kid on to support certain nations, but I imagine that was in, like, even the 2026 World Cup, when it's been played in Canada, USA, Mexico, would be insanity. So I just think we'd be missing out on a huge vibe. Brazil and Argentina will be huge. It'll be massive. I'm picking Argentina, and this is where I do think everything I said about Brazil will come in and show through, and I think that it's just a better team, and they'll beat a better team in the day. Which brings me to the final of the World Cup which would be an Argentina and Portugal final, what we've all dreamed and salivated about for years. The potential of Messi versus Ronaldo in the World Cup final. Granted, if both of them make it to the final, or fit, whatever. Is it a dream? Is it a step too far? Is it too ambitious? Will it happen? Probably not, with the way that these things go. But my predictions and my path has led us to what would be the biggest World Cup final in the history of World Cup finals. And I will go one step further in saying, if Argentina and Portugal is a World Cup final this year, and both Ronaldo and Messi are playing in said World Cup final, it becomes the biggest game in football history. And that's the honest truth. If it happens, if it's Argentina and Portugal in the World Cup final this year and both of those guys start, it is the biggest final, the biggest game in footballing history. One of the biggest sporting occasions in history. The battle for the two greatest of all time to win their one and only World Cup. Perhaps what separates them in terms of their accomplishments. You can have all your opinions in regards to who's the better player, and I think we all know that Messi's the better player anyway, but in terms of their accomplishments and what separates them and the biggest thing in that, it would be a World Cup. And it would be huge. It would be absolutely massive, and I think that after the other night, most of the world would probably be supporting Argentina, and I know I'd be supporting Argentina. I'd also like Argentina to win it in memory of Diego Maradona as well. I would. And my prediction, I've not even done my third place yet. We should probably start with that. I think Brazil would beat Denmark. So I think Brazil would finish third. But the final, it would settle the debate for good. You know what I mean? I don't think there'll be a leg to stand. Anytime anybody tried to claim that either were better, you just see them reply with the photo of the other holding the World Cup. That would be as simple as that. I think Argentina would win the World Cup if that was the final. There you go. There is my prediction. I think that Argentina will win the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Simple as that. And if it's an Argentina and Portugal final, Lewis put it best. The world would stop for this game. I haven't even spoke in great depth about Portugal. Portugal's side is so good heading into this competition. They were a massive letdown at the Euros, but it's so good. Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva. You go back as well. The players I've got in defence. Diego Dallo has been absolutely fantastic for Manchester United this season. They've got such a good team in Argentina. They've probably got a better depth in players than what Argentina do, I would argue. But I just think that Argentina would edge it, and Argentina would win the World Cup. So there you go. That's it. That's my prediction. So, I guess the last big question before we go off the air tonight is, who do you think will win the World Cup? Saying Argentina will make the final. How did they do in the Euros? Ryan has absolutely no ball knowledge. Remember in the 2018 World Cup, me and our pals were all talking about... No, it was 2016 Euros, I think. Me and my pals were all talking about who we think would do well, and one of the boys hits it. I think Costa Rica could do well, and we were just in absolute fucking bits. Rafael Leao as well, another great player. Great ball knowledge from you, Celtic, this evening. Fantastic. So there you go. Who are we all thinking? Just head off. I've got Astro saying France. I think he's the only person all night I've seen say France. A lot of people sleeping on France, to be fair. Argentina flags, I'd imagine, getting put in. But that just looks like, on my screen, that looks like Mr. Krabs laughing. You know what I mean? But yeah, Argentina. I've got Brazil. Ronaldo penalty in the 90th minute. Jake Paul runs up the tunnel for everyone. The coach, Santos, is the problem, though, for Portugal. Could be surprised. Got Argentina. Someone saying Spain. Wow, big shout from Craig. Scotland to win. Portugal, Pepe still plays. Yep, exactly. Brazil. There we go. That's it. That's where I'm going to end tonight's stream, because it's been going on for so long. So, thank you, everybody. There's my predictions for the World Cup. We will talk about the World Cup as it goes on. I'm probably going to do a lot more live streams and stuff throughout the competition as well. And if we do watch along, if we do watch along to watching Celtic players, and we'll talk about the competition in great depth anyway. So there you go. That'll do it. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But I'm going to end it off there, ladies and gents. Thanks for coming along for this extra long one tonight. But I had a lot of fun. It's good to talk about things sometimes that aren't Celtic. But yeah, I enjoyed that. So thanks very much. Hope you have a great evening. See you throughout the week on the channel as well. Thank you for the people who've been here the whole hour or at any point. Yeah.